Hello, I'm Josh George. Today I'll be doing my predictions on where I think College Game Day will be throughout the season. We're going to start with Week 1. Week 1, I have College Game Day in Arlington, Texas for the Auburn-Oregon game. I think this is a very intriguing matchup, an SEC Pac-12 crossover, and two teams that might wind up in the top 25 in the preseason. Now, Week 2, I have College Game Day in Austin, Texas for LSU and Texas. I think this could be a really good matchup. Two teams that a lot of people have as playoff contenders, and I think that College Game Day will be in Austin, Texas for LSU Texas, Week 2. Week 3, there was a lot of games I feel like I could have gone with. This was kind of a tough decision. Iowa and Iowa State kind of jumped out at me. But these are two teams that they don't cover a whole lot. And I think there's a lot to cover with these two teams. With Herm Edwards at Arizona State. And I feel like that these teams could be both undefeated early in the season. And it could be a good matchup. So, Week 3, I have College Game Day in East Lansing, Michigan, where Arizona State and Michigan State will be facing off. Week 4, this one jumped off the page. When I saw these two teams meeting, two teams that have been in the playoffs in the last two seasons, each of them have been in it one time in the last two seasons. Great matchup. It was a great game last time the two teams faced off. So, Week 4, I have College Game Day in Athens, Georgia for Notre Dame and Georgia. Week 5, I feel like this was a good week when I looked at the schedule to go to a Pac-12 game. And they really do like Washington State there at College Game Day. Utah's an under the radar team that I think will be really, really good. And I think they'll be in Salt Lake City, Utah for Washington State, Utah, Week 5. Week 6, I have them at... A lot of people have this game deciding who wins the Coastal Division and gets to play Clemson in the ACC Championship game. So Week 6, I have them in Miami, Florida for Virginia Tech at Miami. Now, Week 7 was probably the hardest pick to make. I picked this one over USC and Notre Dame, over the OU Texas game, and there were some other games that I think I could have picked. But Week 7, I have College Game Day in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for Florida and LSU. Part of this is I think this will be a top 5 matchup at the time. So, Week 8, they always seem to hit Penn State during a whiteout. I think Michigan and Penn State, I think it's a big game. I think it'll be a whiteout for Penn State. So, Week 8, I have them at University Park in Pennsylvania for the Michigan-Penn State game. Week 9, I have a feeling that they're going to go to Clemson sometime this season. It's a question of when will they go. With the other games on the schedule and with the way it stacks up for Boston College, I have them at one loss at this point in the season. And I think that they might sneak into the top 25. So, Week 9, I have them in Clemson, South Carolina for the Boston-Clemson game. Now, Week 10, I think, is going to be a good week. I have them in Florida for sure. I have them in Orlando, Florida. I know, a lot of people were thinking Jacksonville. But I've already covered both of those teams once. I think this is a good time to cover a solid group of 5 matchup in the American Conference and to talk about what the American Conference is. And I feel like they will go to a group of 5 games sometime this season. And this just seemed the right spot to me and the right matchup. So Week 10, I have them in Orlando, Florida, and Houston at University of Central Florida. Then, Week 11, if you've seen my other videos, you know I've got these two teams finishing in the top 2 of the Big 12. I think this will be a huge matchup. Last time Iowa State went to Norman, they pulled the upset. That's something you could talk about. And Oklahoma's that team that's been in the playoff back-to-back years. So I think it could be a top 25 game, and I think it could be a game that gets a lot of coverage. I know I picked it over maybe the LSU-Alabama game, but last time LSU played Alabama, it was 29-0, and all of Iowa State's games in the past 2 years have been within 14 points. So I feel like this game kind of gets the nod. So week 11, I have them in Norman, Oklahoma for Iowa State at Oklahoma. Then week 12, no game really jumped off the screen week 12, but I went on ahead and went with the Georgia-Auburn game in Auburn, Alabama. Huge rivalry down in SEC country, kind of a big deal. Gus Malzahn may need the win to hang on to his job right here. So week 12, I went with this game. Then week 13, I think it's time to go to an FCS game. There's not a whole lot of great games out there, so I went with the big rivalry game. Harvard at Yale. New Haven, Connecticut. I think that's where they'll be, week 13. Week 14, rivalry week. I have College Game Day at Ohio State at Michigan. Two teams that I think will be in the top 5, certainly in the top 10. And rivalry week, I have them in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Now, championship week, they haven't covered Alabama yet. I think they're due to cover Alabama, so that's one of the reasons I picked the SEC championship game for conference championship week. And the other reason is I think that both of these teams will be the highest ranked teams of all of the conference championship games, so I have them in Atlanta, Georgia, covering Alabama and Georgia for conference championship week. I am Josh George. This was your Where Will College Game Day Be predictions for 2019.